Hey Steve, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. How was your drive in today?
Lots of traffic out, but we made it.
How long is your commute to the office?
Well, I speed often, but
Uh-huh.
it should take me about 30 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay, nice. That's not too bad. I'm sorry that Kim couldn't join us today, but I'm excited that you made it in by yourself either way. So we've already spoken once about just some general intake things. You and Kim came in, what was that, I guess, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Talked a little bit about some conflict you guys were having. From what I remember from our intake session, it sounded like Kim is having some frustrations regarding some of the household duties that she's carrying right now, not being able to work, having to stay home with the kids while you're out, working really hard for your family every day. And obviously that's just caused a little bit of tension for you guys. Is there anything else that you would add to that?
Nothing comes to the top of my mind.
Okay, and I'm sure things will come out as we continue to work together, and obviously Kim will be in next time, so I'll make sure to kind of include her, get more of her thoughts as well. But that's a good starting point for us today. So, how's this week been? Any conflict between you and Kim? How have you been feeling since I've seen you?
Pretty much status quo, like we talked about last time, and I get home from my long days. I'm a realtor, and I'm constantly showing folks around different homes and whatnot, and trying to finish up the contracts and whatnot. And then I get home and I walk in the door, and Kim starts off with some new problem that she's thought of for the day, and then we get to bickering, and there goes the evening.
Gotcha. And then you go to bed, and that's just kind of what it is. I gotcha. That does sound familiar to what you guys were talking about when you came in last week. So I have a weird question I want to ask you. So let's say you left this office today. You go home, you go to bed, and you wake up tomorrow morning, go to work, come home, and miraculously tonight the problem was solved. Problem was completely solved. So you don't even need to be in counseling anymore. Your problem is just gone. You and Kim are feeling great, doing great. How do you know that your problem is solved? What does life look like with this situation being resolved?
Well, I probably manage my home and work balance a little better, and help out around the house a little more. Me and Kim can have a conversation that does not immediately jump into an argument about different household chores or stuff with the kids. I feel like if she would kind of try to take into consideration my workload and approach me in a different manner, then that would also help it out. But yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, that is a really helpful answer. That really helps to give me an idea of what you're really looking forward to. It's also interesting because in there you did identify already some things that you could do. So you already identified some solutions to the problem that we could work on. So that was easy. We didn't even have to do a ton of work to reach some solutions for you guys to start working on. You had mentioned the work-life balance. That's very interesting. Sometimes when people answer that question, they just answer it as if it miraculously happened, which is the point, and that's fine. But it's really cool that you're already identifying some practical things that you could maybe do to even make that vision a reality. So that's really awesome. I heard you say in there that you and Kim would not be arguing as much. She probably wouldn't be complaining as much when you get home. You would probably just be getting along a little bit better. So that's something that we really want to focus on and work towards as we continue to work together. And I have no doubts that you guys can get there pretty easily. How do you feel about that question? What feelings are coming up after I asked you that?
Can I snap my fingers and make it happen now?
I know. It would be very nice if we could do that. Like I said, awesome that you're already identifying some practical things that you could do to work towards that goal, and we'll continue to identify some more together. So speaking of solutions, I do remember from the last time that you and Kim were here that you guys have been together for 8 years. Is that correct? Okay. 8 years started off in college. I think, okay. Started off in college, and I know that you guys are feeling really stuck right now. That you had spoken to a social worker before and have tried to work through some of this on your own. But every time you get into these conversations, it just seems like you're not going anywhere, you're not resolving anything, it just is escalating the conflict further and further. Would you say that that's accurate? Okay, got you. That's what I thought you had said the last time we met. So, something that I really want you guys to do, and you can kind of reflect right here with me in this moment, is really think about previous solutions you guys have used, because you've been together for 8 years. This is kind of a rhetorical question, but have you had conflict within the last 8 years?
Yeah.
Sure, right. And I'm sure that you guys have worked together to solve problems that have come up, whether it's with, family members or between the two of you with the kids or anything like that. You two have been together for almost 10 years. That's a lot of time to overcome conflict and solve problems together. So something I want to ask you is, can you think of a conflict or a problem that arose within the last 8 years? It can be big or small. Think of a problem that you two have had to work together to solve. What did that look like?
Good question.
Yeah, take your time.
Well, when we first got married, we didn't really talk through what it looked like to have our finances together and that sort of thing, and so we both did kind of just spend money on our own. I feel like maybe I was a little more frugal than what she was, and so that kind of resulted in arguments here and there. Eventually we kind of just talked to some of our older mentors and whatnot, and which led us to having a sit down conversation and really starting a budget and that sort of thing, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really, really great example. You guys did the work to solve that problem. It's interesting that the way you solved it was that you sought counsel, which is exactly what you're doing right now. So that seems to be something that does generally work for you guys. So that's really cool. And the reason I ask you that is because I want to remind you, and I want to remind Kim the next time she comes in too, that you guys can solve these problems together. We can all collaborate and come up with solutions together that will work for you guys. And you guys have overcome a lot of things in 8 years. You've had 2 children and, financial conflict, and I'm sure even bigger things than that. So I just want to remind you that you can solve problems together, even though you guys do feel a little bit stuck right now. But some homework that I would really like to give you guys is, and I'll send you an email with this information. I'll send you and Kim an email with this, but I would really like for you to go home. I'll write in the email explaining, Kim, kind of the question I just asked you, and I would like for you to both sit down and write a manual list of all the problems you can think of that you've solved together. Even if it's just a list of the problems and you guys know how you solved them, and I would love to talk more about that the next time I see you guys, just as a way for you guys to collaborate and, again, kind of remember some of the successes you've had within your marriage. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome.